Clods! Welcome to another episode of The Crystal Thems. I'm Liz, and with me, as always, is Sid. And
Hello, I'm Sid, also known as Squid. I'm both.
we're back again today to talk about Season 1, Episode 6, Cat Fingers. And a little synopsis for those who might need it is Steven wants to learn how to shapeshift after directions from Amethyst, which never a good idea, I might add. Steven manages to shapeshift his finger into a cat. After the excitement wears off, Steven finds himself in a furry predicament.
Oh, yes. So this episode aired November 25th of 2013 and is number 5 in the production code, despite airing as the 6th episode. It is written by Kat Morris and storyboarded by Hilary Florido, Ian Jones-Cordy, and Rebecca Sugar. And let me double check. Yep. So those are the first episodes. It is 5th in the production order. I believe its viewer count was at 1.7 million at time of airing.
Yes.
So it
That's what
did
I
get
have
a
right here.
fair number of viewers, 1.71 as of airing date. It is great. Also art directed by Kevin Dart.
Beautiful. What'd you think of this episode, Squid?
I loved it. Just in one, I love any episode that features mostly Steven and Greg. I love their father-son time together. It makes me so happy. And two, I love the obligatory body horror episodes that are in every single American-style TV show. There is always
Yeah.
the body horror episode, the duplicate episode, possible
Mhm.
gender swap episode, that's always a maybe, and then the time travel episode where time travel, time gets warped, something happens with time and or aging. Those are all constants for every single American kid show.
Oh, 100%. It's for real that you have to have one. Actually, saying that you like this one, I have a fun little trivia for this episode. In an interview that was done a little bit after Rose's room had dropped, Estelle said in the interview that she thought that this was the least child-friendly episode of the entire series to date.
That
Which I was like,
tracks.
obviously you did not watch Fryboy.
hmm I mean, but given that this and Freiburg are the same, are back-to-back episodes, and this did come before Freibo in production at least, so it
That's
might have
true.
been earlier on
And also
the
Estelle
memories.
wasn't involved with Frybo at all.
True, that's right. Estelle's character wasn't even in that, so might not have known that this was
Yeah.
even happening. And both episodes are the obligatory body horror, one for Steven, one for the monster.
Mhm. But
Um,
Estelle did say that this is her favorite episode of season 1, part 1, part A. And I agree, it's a fun episode.
it's a very fun episode. It's a very terrifying episode, not in the sense that it's scary. Like uh, Frybo was hard to look at, but Catfingers is hard to feel for because Steven is so scared all of this episode. He's so scared the whole time, and it makes me sad for him.
I know. He was so like just terrified as he starts. I mean, we'll hit that as we go on, but just like really scared of getting changed
hmm
and turning into this weird cat monster, which gave me feelings with like a la like the old Universal horror movies or like that kind of like black and white, like the scene where Greg, which I can talk about more, but like, Greg in meeting Cat Steven more or less, not to be
hmm
confused with Cat Stevens. Um,
Yes.
but it like just had that like that vibe of like being absorbed. And I was like, oh, this is very Universal monster movie or uh Princess Mononoke. I had a very visceral just memory of when San is being like consumed by the demon and is being like
Oh, you're
sucked into the weird bloodwormy things. And I was
nope.
like,
That's yep.
same vibe.
Yes, it definitely has those vibes. They do a lot of it by copying old lighting. When I'll also add to it later on, but when Greg sees Steven, Cat Steven, it is, or at least visually, it feels like an homage to when Nosferatu is first revealed on screen, and he has the same slow pan. It's the same turn in lighting for the original Nosferatu, and that makes me think this was intentional.
Oh, I completely agree. It was positively like reminiscent of these like of Nosferatu or seeing the monster for the first time and
Yes. I also feel like this episode does a good job setting up what will happen later in the show of Steven's fear of change with his body and the subsequent lack of change that Steven gets, where he is terrified of any kind of adjustments so he doesn't age.
mhm.
And I think
Mhm.
this episode kind of plays a large part into that idea of Steven just going, I don't want to be physically any kind of different.
I'd agree with that. Well, since we're already talking about, should we just go ahead and jump into the episode?
Yeah, let's jump in.
All right, so right off the bat, we see the mayor mobile. It's the first time we kind of see the mayor mobile, I believe.
Mhm. I think, is this the first time we're meeting Mayor Dewey? I
It
believe.
is the first time we meet Mayor Bill Dewey.
I do love that immediately Steven says, I don't respect political figures and sprays Mayor Dewey. That's
Yep.
kudos to Steven. He's being raised
Well,
well.
I mean, right off the bat, Mayor Dewey is positively shady.
He's he's a scummy politician and it shows.
Like, they didn't even try and make it look like he was like, you'll do it for free? And it's like,
Exactly.
Mayor Dewey.
Mayor Dewey,
But I want to know what
please.
political favors does Greg want?
Exactly. What political favors could you get? I guess a permit, probably a permit to live at the at the car wash because legally you're not allowed to live in a commercial building.
Yeah, or, just turn the blind eye to the fact that his van is always there and he lives out of his van.
Exactly. Both of those would need permit. Well, they're in the US still, but East Coast I don't know, but legally you're not allowed to live in your car in most states.
Yes,
So, I think yeah, he's just hoping for, a little blind eye, don't pay attention to that. Technically, if we want to ask the law, Greg can just claim he lives with the gems, which he definitely doesn't.
definitely doesn't. He says his
But
mailing address is the gym, so really it's his van.
yeah. I mean, that's fair. At the very least, he needs to get things shipped somewhere.
Yeah, so as you already said, they are washing the mayor mobile. They have a water fight, accidentally spray Mayor Dewey. Mayor Dewey's like, "Hey, universe, get your kid under wraps." Um,
Also, him going, I don't pay for father son bonding, which let them have their cute little moment.
I mean, later in the show, since this is a spoiler-filled podcast, you find out that is true because his relationship with his son, not great.
Is bad. Yeah,
Not great at all.
I can see what. Listen, he doesn't pay for father son bonding and he doesn't participate in father son bonding.
He does not at all. It is
Also,
it's not great.
I'm just now realizing that the re-election truck is a box truck, but it's the same kind of box trucks as mail delivery. And we know later that the mail delivery truck is gone, which is why uh I forget her name. The mom,
Sadie's mom.
Sadie's mom, yep, is always having to run physically to deliver mail because they don't have a box truck anymore.
Mayor Dewey totally stole it.
Mary Dewey stole their box truck.
Yeah, 100%.
He just took their box truck, repainted it, and was like, re-elect Mayor Dewey. And then now the actual mail in town has to just physically be walked over, which is not fair to any of them.
Yeah. Scratch
And
that. I would say he stole it.
stole it. He
Like,
said he was going
legit,
to
like,
borrow it.
middle of the night, probably took it and was like, "It's city property anyways."
Yep,
Uh,
no, I believe that wholeheartedly.
and just, like, drove off with it, and I'm just saying, if I lived in a town which, had a giant mobile that said, "Mayor Dewey," I would vandalize the heck out of that thing.
I would definitely not vote for this man, but I also think he runs uncontested, so it's not like it matters.
Oh, he's never had he well, he will soon. Not soon, but he will at some point. Um,
But also,
but
if he's running uncontested, what are you doing with the re-election campaign? You win by default if there's no one else. So he's just doing this for his ego.
yeah,
You
he
don't.
just wants a car with his giant head on that says Mayor Dewey.
Yep, I believe that. Which, ugh. Yeah, I would vandalize this car.
Yeah, forget about it. I would get rid of it.
Ugh. But
So Mayor Dewey drives off, which is when we hear the Mayor Dewey. And then Greg and Steven are just chilling, and then they get sprayed by a purple cat with
exactly, there's
a gem on its chest. And for some reason, Greg does not realize, oh, hey, a purple cat with a gem on their chest might be amethyst. Nope, we don't know what this is.
yeah. I will say in the earlier seasons they kind of gloss over the gem magic stuff and just kind of make it so no one really notices, which I think is a holdover from the pilot where they were supposed to have secret identities.
Yeah, they're supposed to be the secret, like, magic girls.
Yeah, so people not recognizing that immediately would add to it, but also Greg of all people should know
Greg of all people.
immediately.
Come on, Greg.
Exactly. He should know immediately. Oh, purple cat with a gem on its chest, that's got to be amethyst. There's no one else in town like this.
Also, if I remember correctly, he had a painting of a purple cat in his hoarder's bin
Yes.
that we
So,
decided that Vidalia probably painted of amethyst.
exactly. I mean, unless he doesn't know that that was amethyst and he just thinks Vidalia did this cool painting, but again, you should know this. Vidalia and Amethyst spent a lot of time together. I also
It
uh
kind of makes me pause and wonder if he just blocks out sometimes the, like, magic stuff
mhm.
and just, like, puts up a wall in his brain.
Yeah. I will say for this it makes sense because Greg is still visibly wary of Amethyst shapeshifting. Like the
Yeah.
moment it turns back to Amethyst, he goes, "Oh, that's pretty cool." So I wonder if he just blocks shapeshifting out of his head because he doesn't want to think of all of the other things that happen when Amethyst
Yes.
shapeshifts.
Yeah, because, Steven wants to learn immediately, and Greg is just kinda like, "Is this magic stuff? I'm gonna go. Is there gonna be explosion?" I feel like it backs up your explosion getting that's how he got his, like, permanent burn, because
Yes.
Steve's first thought is explosion.
Exactly. And that would make sense to me as like a permanent sunburn for his explosion. Something happened. It was nearby. Light explosion. Does not want to be part of it.
Correct. What I have to add, uh, Amethyst tying off, the hose in the way she does truly hurts my soul.
Yeah, she is.
Just
This
so
entire
sad, like,
episode,
oh,
Amethyst is just starting mess. Amethyst is creating problems this whole episode and just refuses to acknowledge that's her fault. She acknowledges it's her fault. She does not take responsibility.
yeah, she doesn't care that it's her fault.
But yeah, just
She's
immediately
just
is like,
here
ah, it's fine.
cause
That's
chaos.
me. Yeah. Also,
Cause chaos.
Amethyst shapeshifts into Steven at this point, and Greg physically he recoils. He does not seem happy about it, which, given what
Does
happened in Laser Light Cannon, yeah,
yeah, is very upset about this. Amethyst just lives to troll Greg because she, again,
roll
later
and
in the episode
traumatize.
is like, "Oh, that's gonna make Greg freak out," when Steven first turns his hand into a cat.
Exactly.
Uh, is like, "You have to go show your dad just to mess with him." Side note, I do have the Amethyst Steven figure. I have an Amethyst Steven figure that sits on my bookshelf. I'm looking at it right now, that I got
Beautiful.
from a blind box.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I will post a picture on our social media of it, next to my Biker Mice from Mars figures because 'cause I'm an adult.
I mean, yes, this is very adult. Oh,
Very
children
adult.
can't afford figurines.
Only adults.
Only
So
adults. That's
we
who they're made
move
for.
back to the house. We get a nice, like, picture, really nice, like, gorgeous, as they would say if it was a live action, like, B-roll footage of the house. And we
Mhm.
go in. Is Pearl doing science? And what science is Pearl doing? Because there's beakers and everything on the counter.
That is my immediate note. Is I really want to know what Science Pearl is doing.
Like, do you
What is
think
she
it's
researching?
tectonic stuff because of
I,
the living island they'll deal with later?
possibly, but I mean, what? How would that relate to beakers in a microscope? What is she
Maybe sh
researching over there?
I mean, maybe they got samples of this living island and she wanted to see what it actually was?
That makes
That's kind of
sense. I deeply want to know. There's so many things
I
in the
really
show that happen in the background that I just need more of. Where I go, no, go. I want a whole episode about what you just said.
I just a side episode of Pearl doing science, like Bill Nye style doing science.
Exactly. What is she researching? Also, right at the breakfast. I know you don't eat Pearl, but Steven eats there. Be careful. Don't contaminate it
Yeah,
if it's like
don't
dangerous.
don't put chemicals on things that
Yeah,
you're going to be eating. That's bad.
exactly. For Gems, it doesn't matter. For Steven, this matters actually a whole lot.
Yes. Yes, it does. So we get Amethyst doing a lot of different shape shifts. Shape shifts, that's a hard word to say, into a seal, into a wolf. We see Purple Puma for the first time.
Yeah. We also see her reference to regular show with the Blue Jay. She turns into saying "chill, dude."
Yeah, that was actually one of the facts from the Steven Universe fandom wiki, which if Gentle Clods, if you haven't seen, you should check out. They have a lot of really cool information. That's actually where I got my Estelle interview uh fact from. So it has a lot of fun, cool stuff along with transcripts for the episodes. You should check it out. Yeah, we get a
Yes.
little, reference to the what was it called? I've never actually seen this show.
Regular show.
Regular show. I would like to see some cosplayers of Steven Universe with the purple jay, the purple jay on their head because I think that's just like a nice deep cut.
It is. It's a very early deep cut of the show. We're just like, hey, here's my purple Blue Jay that says "chill, dude." No, it's not Mordecai. It's Amethyst.
And then finally, Amethyst turns into Pearl. Plop, plop.
Yeah. Also, we get Pearl confirming she can shapeshift, but doesn't, which
Yes.
for later on makes a lot more sense. But early on, it's just kind of a choice she makes, is saying you don't need to do it.
I do wonder which crystal gem turned himself into a teapot, and why would that be her immediate thought? Like, did she turn herself into a teapot once? Because why would
Possibly.
that be the like immediate like we can turn ourselves into object like a teapot?
Mhm. Well, we know that the gems can be attached to objects, like the mirror, but in the Homeworld arc, when we go to Homeworld, it was revealed in an interview all of the buildings are gems. So the physical pillars in the building, those are gems. The
Oh
actual
wow.
structures themselves are all gems. So they can turn into objects. And that's
Imagine
I,
if we turn
another.
themselves into a teapot.
Yeah, the teapot. I'm wondering why, but yeah, we know if Pearl lived on Homeworld, well, she did. That the physical structures are all gems too. So yeah, gems can turn into objects, and they can also turn their physical form into any humanoid shape they want, or animalistic, or anything that they would like.
Now,
But yeah,
hear me out.
hmm
If you could turn into an object, what object would you turn into, Squid?
oh, that's a good one.
Good question, right? I was wondering that. I myself haven't decided, but I was like, ooh.
That's that's a hard question because my immediate thought was water gun because that would be so much fun for me.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also would love to be a fancy goblet.
Fancy goblet. I think it'd be a cat toy.
See, that sounds fun, but can I feel pain? Because if so,
That is a good question because my cats, which I have one sitting on my lap right now, so if you hear any meows, it is my cat. Um, they do in fact tend to rip off tails and stuff, but it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make for my cats.
that's my only concern is can I feel pain? And would I still be allergic to cats if I turned into a cat toy? Because that would
Mm,
make me viscerally
oh
upset.
yeah, that'd be so depressing. Well, to think about that, maybe we'll post it also on our social medias what we turn ourselves into.
Yes. A
So
bowl of soup.
naturally, in a bolus, I don't know if I would be eaten
Oh,
as
you're
soup.
right.
Uh, so naturally, Pearl is like, Steven, I think this is a little out of your league. Maybe, it's dangerous. Don't do this. Meanwhile, Amethyst is like, let's do it.
hmm
And she torments Pearl enough till Pearl just gets frustrated and leaves.
Yeah. I
with
do
a
also love
whoa.
that Pearl just shoved Amethyst to the side. Like, no
Yeah.
regard, she'll be fine. Just move her.
Yep, just whoop,
And I,
to the side.
yeah, but Pearl does the responsible thing of, hey, don't bite off more than you can chew.
Mhm.
Don't hurt yourself. This isn't a good idea. And Amethyst is, again, a menace this entire episode.
Womp womp.
And Pearl just goes, this isn't my problem, and leaves.
I don't know why I like that sound so much. I would like to say the very first thing Steven wants to turn into is a giant lion, eh?
Oh. I wonder
Foreshadowing, perhaps?
what could that mean later on.
Hmm. A
Mhm.
giant pink lion, you say?
I can't imagine what that might look like.
I cannot imagine. I do want to point out Pearl has to know if she's leaving. Steven expressed he wanted to do something. He's already proven he's a headstrong child. He's
Mm,
expressed he wants to learn how to do this, and you just leave him with Amethyst, who she knows is just a chaos starter?
a bad
Like,
influence.
come on.
You know what was going to happen. I
Come
will
on.
say, kudos to Amethyst for actually following a bit of Pearl's instructions and going, you can't turn into a giant lion. Let's start with something smaller.
That is true. She does kind of take his expectations down just a touch.
Yeah. Which, hey, Steven, in a couple of seasons and a movie and then a new show, you will turn into something giant.
That's very true.
You need to be patient and maybe lose all of your emotional control.
Mhm. Also true.
Which actually foreshadowing from this episode that Steven losing emotional control makes him lose his control over shapeshifting and the changes of his body.
Yes, that is right. I didn't think about that, but you were correct. It does kind of foreshadow that. All the
That
foreshadowing in these early episodes.
they do a very good job of just seeding little bits of information and then really expanding on them later on.
Yes. Yes, they do. So Amethyst gives Steven the tip of think about what you want and then just shake it out. And then she turns back into her cat self, grabs a bag of chips, starts eating the chips. Uh, in that case, I think my cat Knox might be a gem just because he actively loves potato chips and will steal them from me
Mhm.
and is probably a gem.
I love Amethyst's little toe beans in that scene where she's eating
Such cute
chips.
little toe beans.
She's got cute little toe beans.
Yeah,
Um, I
beans are cute.
I also, side note, have a theory about shapeshifting with
Okay.
gems. Because
Okay.
we know gems are made of light. They don't have physical forms, they're just made of light. The gem is the only physical thing about them. But shapeshifting comes very easy to Amethyst, and we see that even later on, Pearl can shapeshift but doesn't, but it's not easy for her to do.
Right.
Same for Garnet. Shapeshifting is difficult for Garnet, or at least not desired, given that they're fusion and prefer her form.
Right.
But I'm wondering if court soldiers as a whole just have an easier time shapeshifting because they're soldiers and need to be able to change physical proportions in a fight. Because the
Possibly. Do
root
you also think possibly it could be because I mean Amethyst was born late, so Amethyst is already like a little bit different
that too. She definitely has
than
more advanced shapeshifting than other amethysts and even other quartz gems. When we
correct.
even later on go to the zoo arc, the other amethysts can shapeshift, but not nearly to that extent.
That is very true.
So yeah, it might be a specialty that amethyst has from being born late.
And just like a mix of what kind of gym she is.
Hmm. They also expand on that, I think, in the movie because when they show all of the they don't show it in the actual series when the gems first pop out. They all kind of look identical, but Amethyst's form in the movie when they get the chance to show a reset Amethyst has segmented joints
Mm-hmm.
like a machine or like a doll, and I'm wondering if that's again if soldiers are meant to shapeshift into what is needed for the military at the time so that they have those segmented pieces to make it easier for them to shapeshift. So even though all gyms can shapeshift, it's easier for court soldiers, and then even easier for our Amethyst to do so.
Right. So maybe it's just like a genetic thing for what they needed at the time.
Yeah, because it would make sense for the military to be able to change its physical shape. Of the people who should shapeshift, probably your military more than your zircon lawyers.
Oh yeah. Or you're like handmade in pearls.
Exactly. At most, maybe shapeshift into different outfits so that they can continue dancing and singing, but they don't need to change form.
Yeah.
Unless
Yeah.
they change into a teapot because you wanted tea.
Unless you change into a teapot. That was actually Pink Diamond just always wanted tea.
Just consistently. It was like, hey, it's tea time.
Tea time all the time.
Mhm.
Uh,
But no,
so we get Steven trying. He gets this funky beat. He shakes it out, and at first appears that nothing's happened. And then you hear an itty bitty meow.
tiny meow.
And
Amethyst
then
is so polite during this time. It's like, well, you did a good job trying.
right. Like he encouraging. And then it's like, oh, when she sees what happened, she's like, you need to go show Greg. He's gonna freak out because Amethyst is just a troll.
Exactly. Only here to cause problems. Shout out,
Only here to cause problems.
shout out to Greg immediately sunbathing, just hanging out with some cool water and some nice tunes.
I mean, he's cleaned like the three one of the three cars in this entire town. So
Exactly. No one has a car because why would you need one? You live on a boardwalk.
yeah, you have Fish Stew Pizza's car, you have the Mayormobile, and you have his van. No other
Mhm.
cars.
Yeah, at least for now. Until later, when we see, oh, multiple people have cars. There's actually a whole suburb outside of the boardwalk.
Whole suburb. But for now,
Just
he
those
gets
three.
three customers.
Yeah,
We
and one
get
of them is him.
another one of them is him, which he can just wash his car whenever. We get
Yeah.
another shot of foreshadowing with him spraying, getting Steven's finger wet and the cat kind of doing like the wibbly wobblies.
Mhm.
And he's just
Greg.
freaked out.
He immediately freaks out, but when Steven is excited about it, he's like, well, that's cool.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, okay, I'm really happy for you, son. I'm just
Ex-
gonna cry over here quietly."
Exactly. I'm going to be freaked out in a corner, but I'm so happy for you, personally.
Yes. So Steven naturally wants to show everyone else. So he goes to the big donut, shows Sadie and Lars.
Yeah. Which, Lars,
They
please, you don't
try.
have to be so
See,
mean.
so mean. I was like, "Burned from Lars" is my note.
Exactly. Same here. I
I
have,
appreciate this. Sadie just always has the like, kind of like the big sister out of like, "Whoa, Steven, that's really cool."
yeah. I put
You want this
Lars, you
class
don't
photo?
have to be rude. I
Yeah,
just,
Lars, don't be rude, man.
yeah. His, I get that they're both teens on two wildly different ends of the same spectrum of
Yeah.
Sadie's people pleasing tendencies to cover the fact that they are hurt inside, and then Lars's antisocial tendencies to cover the fact that he's hurt inside. Like, I get it, same spectrum, different ends, but you gotta get it together. Both of you, actually, a little bit. Sadie, I love you. This is weird, though. You have to admit, this is a little bit weird that his finger is a cat.
Cat.
That can't. I know it's a cartoon, so it's adorable for us. That has to look weird.
That has to look horrifying.
It has to look so like it has. It probably has the full proportions of a cat's face. Like right now, we just have for the design of the show, it's just cute little cat
Around.
eyes and mouth, and it's round. But presumably in universe, it's a full detailed cat's face
Yes.
and elongated neck, which has to be so creepy.
I would, and then, like the fur slowly sprouting out of his skin. Oh, yeah, it's
Ex-
probably terrifying.
Exactly. Like this does
Especially because
look weird.
it looks weird. Well, then we later learn the cat can eat on its own because we head over to the fry shack. And first of all, Petey got a promotion. He's working the fryer, deep fry now. Steven continues his tradition of harassing food workers.
Yes. We also skipped over in the Big Donut. Steven makes more cat fingers.
Yes, he does. I'm so sorry. I did miss that. Yeah, he realizes that his cat friend has only no friends.
Yeah, so instead of one cat finger, Steven now has a full hand of cat fingers.
Yeah, just a whole, and I appreciate they're all different, colored cats.
Yeah,
You got some orange, white, a little black cat,
exactly.
and they're
All
all
the different kids.
meowing and
Yeah, and again,
during,
have to look so horrifying.
it still looks absolutely terrifying. Like,
But
uh,
I can't imagine. But yeah, but back at the at PD, he got his promotion. He's working the fryer now, which congrats to him. I'm glad he gets to take his job very seriously and he doesn't have to wear the Frybo costume. He gets to work in the restaurant.
in the
He is a fry.
restaurant,
He is a
his father's
fryman.
like, just go with it.
Yeah.
It'll get done sooner if you just go with it. I'm like,
Ex-
oh, Steven, how have you hurt these men?
Exactly. How many times have you been here and demanded the bits and said,
And
"Can I
just
just
like
have the
freaked
bits?"
out.
Yeah, and they go, "You know, it's fine, kid. You can just have the bits." What?
No, I,
How?
I
What do
think
you
this is the
charge
most
for that?
horrifying part. I feel like they just give it to him.
I mean, fair. It's just the leftovers. They were gonna toss it anyways.
They got sick of trying to figure it out. But then we see, I think this is the most horrifying part where the cats eat on their own and he just
Yes,
shoves his hand into the fry bits.
exactly. He just puts his hands in there, and the cats start eating. And it doesn't seem like Steven is eating them. He's not
Nope.
tasting it or anything. It's just the cats,
Yep. I
which
feel like that's the creepiest thing ever.
again, the body horror where you just go, where are those fries? They're connected to your body, so where are the fry bits going?
Where the fry bit's going, Mr. Fryman's like, oh, we'll have to show your brother, which we've seen Ronaldo before. We saw him, and I believe his first entrance was last episode of Frybo. But now we get a name. So we hear him call Ronaldo.
Yes.
Ronaldo
Immediately
comes
shoves his
over,
brother,
shoves
shoves
his brother
Petey.
out of the way. We find out he has a blog called Keep Beach City Weird,
Yep.
um,
And I'm
which we can only
wondering,
assume is just a blog all about the gyms.
yeah, I'm wondering if that's also an homage to the city slogan of Austin, which is "Keep Austin Weird."
Oh, it could be.
So I'm like, oh yeah, just to keep beach. Also, Beach City is weird. There
Beach
are
City's weird.
there's three magical girls who live down the
Just at the
block.
edge. I mean, also there's a boy in front of you who has cat's fingers.
Cats are fingers. Also, so Petey and Mr. Fryman are both horrified watching this happen and keep calling it "I can't look away" and "it freakish." And Steven adds the rest of his fingers, so now all 10 fingers are cats.
Yeah, he's like, oh, you think that's weird?
Exactly. He's like, "It's not freakish, it's cute." And you go, "Steven, this is worse."
This is worse.
Yep.
This
But I
is
do,
somehow worse. It's just a car wreck. You can't look away.
yep. I do love that Mr. Fryman knows his kids well enough to go, "Ronaldo would like this. Get your brother.
Yes.
He would immediately like this."
He might not understand, but he still supports Ronaldo being into this.
Yeah. Also, this entire time that's happening, I can't stop looking at Petey's facial expressions of just
Of
watching his
horror.
brother be weird and just go, "Come on, man." It's not even no Petey's facial expressions to Ronaldo.
Oh, to Ronaldo, yeah, he's just kind of like he's he's a little brother. He's just honestly a little over it.
Exactly. He's like, "I'm tired of this. I don't want to. You're weird. You're keeping Beach City weird."
So Ronaldo takes a picture of Steven's fingers, and so Steven wants to look at the photo. And what happens? His fingers yowl,
They
and he
don't.
realizes maybe cat fingers aren't very good fingers.
Yeah. They don't function
Especially.
well. Also, do they register on phones? This is entirely a tangent. Most phones don't register non-skin touch. It's what a lot of animals can bump up against your phone and nothing happens because they don't register. Skin, fur doesn't register. Do the cats even register as touchable on a smart screen?
I don't know. Let's see. I'm gonna rub my cat's face against my phone.
Yes, thank you for
Uh,
doing this science. I
yeah.
know lizards do.
I
I know
mean,
lizards can.
rubbing. I mean, if it's not, if it's the fur, no. But I know, like, maybe if it's specifically their nose, I don't want to shove my phone into his nose.
That's fair.
Um, Maybe if it was like their nose, it would work. I know, like, I can tell you, my cats have accidentally like dialed many a people because they step on my phone just right. Ended up
Mm,
calling someone, or they've like swiped away on me watching things on TikTok because they want attention.
yeah, I wonder if it's their toe beans that are registering,
It's their toe
because
beans. Yeah, it's their toe beans that register.
yep. But these they're all face.
They're all
So
based, maybe it's like their noses.
yeah, that could
Their
probably
noses
make
are kind of like dry and
they're soft enough. They're fleshy.
soft, maybe, yeah.
I'd
That
believe
I
it.
can't test. I don't wanna shove my cat's
Yeah,
nose onto my phone.
don't do that.
He'd be
Um,
very upset with me. He's being very chill right now.
so calm. I do also want to note that Steven is trying to. They it cuts to when he realizes his fingers don't work as a phone on a phone, or as fingers. He goes home and he's trying to get a sandwich out of the fridge, and the cats are not having it. But I want to point out someone went grocery shopping because the last time we saw this fridge was an episode ago or two, and everything was dumped out. So
Yeah, they dumped everything out, and it was mostly just, like, a bag of bagels and, like, whipped cream.
exactly. So someone went shopping for it. Looks like orange
Yes, Greg
juice,
went
more whipped
shopping.
cream. Greg, yep, Greg got them actual food.
Got some cheese. He has a sandwich that, maybe Pearl made him a sandwich,
Yeah. Also,
when she was doing all her science.
sometimes I can't store full sandwiches in the fridge because I don't like cold bread.
I just like that it gets stale.
And it gets too dry. Like the bread
Yeah.
loses all moisture. If it's
I
wrapped,
might
maybe I can accept it.
maybe. I don't like putting sandwiches in that have any type of condiments on it because it makes the bread soggy, and one of my, like, texture issues is soggy bread.
Yeah, we discussed this, but no, condiments are only acceptable if I've toasted the bread because then they don't absorb.
And they don't deserve correct. Yeah, I like a good toasted seamy.
Exactly. If
But the
I've
cats
toasted
are
the bread.
also, you see that they're moving on their own hardcore.
They are
The feet are, like,
wiggling.
almost bent backwards at some points, trying to do so. So Amethyst comes in and Steven's holding the plate by his elbows, which very dexterous.
Yeah.
And Amethyst is like, "Hey man, you good?" And Steven's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." She's like, "Okay, we out."
Yeah. Also, other episode I want. They're going to fight a living island. I also want to see that living island.
I wrote
Can
that
we
as well. I was like, I would really like a mini episode of them fighting the living island, or what is it?
exactly what does that look like? Because we at least we don't realize that early in the show, but later we realize that all of the living animals or creatures and monsters they fight are gems. So presumably there's a gemstone somewhere in that island. What does that look like? What's
Yeah.
happening? Show me the whole island. Does the physical island, how does it attack you? Does it look like a person? Or is it just the island, like there's a rock slide or like trees are swatting you? I have to know more.
Is it kind of like the mountain giants and the Hobbit, where they're actually like the mountains, more or less? They're giant stacks of stone. Is it kind of like that, but they have like trees? Is like a gaping maw open up, and it's actually just like a crevice in the. I'm curious. I would like to know.
Exactly. Yes. Or does it turn into like Tafiti from Moana, where it's like, oh no, this is just a huge woman, giant
Yeah,
woman with a gem in the center.
they
Can
do like giant women in the show.
I that would be consistent. Um but I want to know how that
I
island
want the
fight
episode.
works. I want
Yeah,
that whole
I want the
episode about the
episode.
island fight.
Yeah, me too. I wrote that as well. I was like, I really would like to see this. We also hear about the gym slip, which I don't think we ever hear about ever again, which
We
is, do we?
once I think
Once
we
other
get
time.
it.
I can remember seeing it again, but my memory isn't great.
We get it. I think one more time in which episode?
It's later if it is.
It's definitely much later.
But I'm just kind of like, do the gyms just have like a plethora of gym related vehicles?
Yes. So we
Like
see
the
it
gym
later.
glider?
We do see the gem sloop later. It's in Pearl's gemstone. It's never actually out on the water again. Pearl just has it in her gemstone. When we go into Pearl's gem to cycle through the
Oh,
items, the sloop is there. So
okay.
she's just keeping it. She's got it stored away.
I mean, I'm really curious in how it works because, like, are those actually sails or are they gyms?
No,
And the
I
gems move the sails?
Yep, the colors are very gem-like, but I feel like it's just a regular boat. It would have to be, right? Or no, is this an actual gem style boat?
If I'm reading correctly, technically speaking, it is not a sloop because it has two head sails. Boats with two head sails are technically cutters.
Ah, wonder if they just call it the sloop.
Oh, it comes back in the comics a lot, is what I'm reading.
Ah, that makes sense.
Yeah, interesting.
Oh,
Um, but yeah, I like. Do they just have like a gym glider and it's like a hang glider?
mhm. Yes,
It's like
I
they're
would
like
believe that.
Batman. Inside
Pearl,
Pearl's
definitely.
gym is just like the Pearl Mobile, and like all these like wild gym themed items.
I mean, I would believe that. That tracks for Pearl,
You
specifically, of just
swim
having
sled in case they ever end up anywhere snowy.
yes. No, I do want to see them get on this boat. Also, if Pearl has this boat, I'm realizing now, and has a sloop, why did we need the raft in Cheeseburger Backpack? Pearl has a boat with her at all times.
Maybe it would have been too big of a boat. She didn't want to lose it.
I guess, but when they crashed and they were stuck and had to paddle home, you had a sloop, you had a boat
That
that you could
is
just get
true.
in.
They had a boat. Um, Maybe she built the sloop.
In
That's
between.
the science she was doing.
Actually, yep, that's what Pearl was doing in the background was building a boat.
Yeah, that's why, it wasn't that she was annoyed, but also she left to go finish constructing the sloop, which is
Mhm.
actually a cutter. Uh, so maybe that's what she was doing? Question. She was inspired after Cheeseburger Backpack and needing the raft. She's like, "Oh, maybe we do need a boat just in case this ever happens again.
Yeah, that
Let's
tracks.
build one to match our vibe."
Exactly, and it also has to match it. But no, so Steven runs out because he wants to see the island fight, which we all do. They're already on their boat and sailing away a little bit, so Steven runs into the water and gets his fingies wet, his little fingers wet, and the cats are not happy about it.
Cats don't like it.
They are not one bit happy, which catches the attention of the gems, who are all, what's going on? Steven, are you okay? And he says he's fine, which of course he's not fine.
He is not. He's like, I can't, something, this is wrong. Pearl's immediate thing is like, oh, we have to. We gotta go.
Mhm.
Steven needs us.
Exactly. Immediately says we have to stay here. We have to help Steven. He turned all his fingers into cats. We can't.
And the cats are freaking out.
Exactly. Of course, Amethyst is in the background laughing because
Yeah.
causing
Amethyst
problems
thinks
on
that this is
purpose.
hysterical.
Exactly. Which tracks for early Amethyst, who just was causing problems on purpose every episode.
Yes.
Just out here to make a mess.
She's just there to troll and to cause chaos. A true, chaos agent.
Exactly. No, and then
But, Garnet is like, no, this is important. We gotta go. Which, low key, Garnet just knows that Steven has to figure this out on his own.
yep. Also, if there is an island that's come to life, you do also that feels like something you need to deal with immediately. That can't be put off.
Yeah, I mean, hindsight, living island, probably not something you want to let, roll around the ocean a lot.
Yep. It also just occurred to me, do people live on that island? Are there humans who live on said island who probably need help?
Oh no,
I
I
didn't
didn't
even
think
think
about
of that.
that.
But yeah, if it's a big enough island that people live on, we should probably go help them.
Perhaps?
Yeah, because that
Maybe.
seems pretty important.
Ew,
And
that
Steven,
sounds.
that can wait.
Yeah, that's Steven can wait. If that's the case.
Exactly. I do love
So
Pearl.
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say I do love Pearl turning around and going, "Amethyst, I blame you for this."
Yeah, that tracks.
And then yeah, Amethyst going, "That's fair."
Yeah, Amethyst knows. I mean,
She's like,
she
"This is my fault."
knew when he turned his first finger. Like, come on, she knows how Steven is. Like, she knew
Exactly.
once he turned one finger, he would just keep going, and she was here. She was here for it.
Yeah. Also, Steven has no control because he has no training and she did not
Mhm.
stick around to train him in any capacity, so this is Amethyst's fault. It's a little bit your fault, Pearl, for leaving him alone with Amethyst. You know what she's like, but also it's Amethyst's fault for encouraging Steven.
Yeah. I mean, she should have known that chaos.
Yeah,
Like, forget about it. Chaos.
exactly.
So they gotta go. And Steven's left and he's like, "Okay, I made it go away."
Exactly.
Uh,
Pearl tells him to stay calm, so he's like, I'll stay calm and get rid of them myself.
right, 'cause he can do this. So he, was like, "Oh, I want you to go back to regular Steven finger." But then very quickly realizes he should make sure it means his finger as it was, not little Steven's on his finger, which I'm just saying, if we thought Frybo was a nightmare, I
Okay.
feel like Steven's hand full of Steven heads would be a true nightmare.
That would be horrific. I do also love his foresight of like, hey, clarify. Clarify exactly what you want, which is regular fingers, not fingers that are little Stevens, because this would happen to him.
Yes. Yeah. So he tries to make him go away, and all of a sudden, a little cat blob shows up on his forehead,
Yep. And
and
then his
it
whole hand turns into a
whole
cat.
hand turns into a cat, and it just starts going real horror movie.
Yeah. His head
He
then
freaks out, but he knows his dad will know what to do.
also more than anything, him screaming and getting teary-eyed while he calls for the gems breaks my heart. Where he's
Oh,
like, Amethyst, Pearl, Garnet. Also, him calling for Amethyst first, the person who caused this, makes me so sad.
he trusts them implicitly.
Yeah, and it breaks my little heart. He's
He's
so small.
positive that they can help him,
You
but
stop
they're
this.
gone. They're gone.
Yeah, it's and then he realizes his dad is always there for him, and Greg will always be there for his son.
Greg is always there for him. Greg will know what to do. Even if he doesn't, he'll figure it out. And I love it so much.
Yeah,
Because it's
and
kind of nice because, a lot of times I feel like cartoons where it's like a hero sort of cartoon. I mean, it has a lot of like, what's called the Disney effect is that either like they're non-existent parents or their parents are dead or whatever. And they kind of frame Greg to look like he would kind of be like a deadbeat parent.
hmm
But
it's
like, it's not the case. I mean, they've
yeah,
definitely has shown that, Greg is there to support Steven no matter what and no matter how, however he needs it. Uh,
mhm.
it's magic stuff. He's not supposed to mess with magic stuff, but he never leaves Steven to deal with it.
Exactly. The show does a good job of he's there and he's not 100% competent on the magical front because that he's a human and that's just not his forte, but he's always competent emotionally for Steven. He
Right.
can keep Steven like safe and calm emotionally and care for his son in ways that like the gems can't, in the way that the
Right.
gems love and care about Steven, but they can't give him that human connection, which is exactly what Greg does of I don't know about magic, but I know you're my son and I love you. Which he says when Steven now is freaking out. He's like, you're not a monster, you're my son.
Yes. And it's
Bec-
really, really nice to see how that's set up to where, even though he looks like he might be, if you look at, don't judge a book by its cover kind of thing, he
yeah.
looks like in his van and kind of looks like he's always in tank tops and shorts,
He-
but
He's
you know,
got, beach bum vibes.
beach bum vibes, but it's like it's obvious that he will drop and do anything for Steven if Steven needs him.
Exactly. Which that's the best thing you can want in a parent is, hey, I'm always here for you, kiddo. And
Yeah,
he always is. Even for the magical stuff, the things he doesn't want to deal with, he's still there for Steven. He's
he's
here
still
in this
here.
episode when they had to
Yeah.
find the cannon. He's like, I will go through the things that hurt me and like go through the storage that I'm hoarding because I know that this matters to you. And he
Hmm.
does. And even later on in the show, he is consistent. He is always here to help Steven in whatever way he can, even if it means putting himself in the line of fire as a squishy human. He's like, no, but that's my kid and I'm going to protect him.
Yeah, I love it. I love it so much because, like I said, a lot of these like cartoons kind of set up. Usually the parents aren't there, or
Yeah.
usually
I
they're
will
just not there.
Yeah, I will say this that Disney the Disney effect is correct. Nickelodeon does it a lot. During this time period, Cartoon Network was doing such a good job of going, no, everyone's parents actually loves them. Even the
Mhm.
adventuring kids, their parents love them so much they just don't get the adventuring part. Which fair, totally valid for
Fair.
your parents to be like, I love you. I don't understand the weird sword magic thing and the magical girl transformation, but I love you. And I can
Yes.
help with, like, do you need help with your homework or do you want to schedule a
Yeah.
vacation? But please don't ask me to fight a giant lizard monster. I can't do that.
I mean, I will, but it might not go well.
Exactly. I will. What I will do is throw something at it and run away because I'm not well equipped for this, but I will try.
Yeah, I just really love that. I wanted to point that out because I think that's really important to keep in mind as we move through these episodes that
Yeah.
I mean, he's always there, whether it's for magic, whether it's for normal boy stuff. He's just like always there.
Yeah.
So Greg is cleaning and he hears the classic, sound in the dark, and then we slow fade into cat blob Steven just like inching towards him.
Yes, he is slowly arriving. I also love that, Greg, you have not a care in the world for your safety. You're out at night with headphones on, just like, nah, nothing's gonna hurt me.
Well, he's a man.
That's true. You know what? That's fair.
He's a white
Uh,
man.
Yeah, and I don't, and like, not derogatory, but true. There are not as many predators technically for you
Right.
to have to worry about.
I also feel like Beach City doesn't have a lot of crime in that sense, just because I feel like it's sort of known that there's these magical, super strong ladies.
That too. I'd be hard pressed to commit crimes. At least not uh, blue collar crime in this city. Tax evasion, Mayor Dewey is 100% doing that.
100%. Yeah, he's totally skimming it off the top for city expenses and stuff.
Exactly,
But
but
I don't
I don't
think random mugger is gonna roll up to Greg because there's always the threat of magic women.
exactly, especially the magic women that Greg knows, that everyone knows hang around Greg or at least know Greg's son. So
Yeah,
it's not worth it. I don't want to be part of this.
yeah,
He's gonna Something's gonna happen to me.
100%. So yeah, we see the weird cat blob, and Greg's first instinct's like, "Okay, I'll get you out." So he tries to get him out, but the cat mouth grabs him and like flips him over.
Yeah, immediately flips him over, and poor Greg's back. That had to hurt. He's not only a squishy human, he's also a middle-aged man. Like he's in a
Yeah.
that his back cannot handle those kinds of things.
Oh, it definitely hurt. He felt it.
He felt
He'll
that.
be feeling it tomorrow.
Yeah. Also, Steven's crying during this time.
He's so scared.
He's crying, and Greg is teary-eyed too, and they're just looking at each other, freaking out about this magic thing that neither of them understand.
Yeah.
But they're here together, and he's gonna take care of them. And I do love the little attention to detail of Steven is his body is being taken over by cats, but the little parts of him that are still in the puddle from when Greg sprayed him, those cats are upset. The rest of the cats are moving normally, but the cats in the puddle are screaming.
Mhm.
And I like that little bit of attention to detail.
I do too. So he kind of goes into the puddle, it's like skids off, jumps out and is like, "Oh, I don't know what to do. Like no more hose fights because these cats hate light bulb water."
Exactly. They hate
Um, so he wants to get sprayed with the hose.
exactly. Also, I do love that he's upset about not being able to open the fridge again. Just, hey, I can't eat food.
Yeah. I mean, same.
Exactly. This is totally valid. Yeah, but he asks his dad to spray him. Greg sprays him. The cats do not like it and immediately try to attack Greg, which terrifying.
Yeah, it almost turns into a catastrophe because they start going after Greg. And I mean, they grow bigger. They're
Which
huge, and luckily Steven grabs the edge of the wall and is like holding him back.
exactly. Also,
Uh,
the cats are taking over so much that like Steven's face gets warped, and it's terrifying.
it's
It's so
terrifying.
weird.
Before when they first jumped, we get the great line, "I'm an adorable cat monster."
Yep. and Greg
The
going
really dramatic music shift, I'm here for. It all of a sudden becomes like that soap opera-y, like dramatic piano music.
exactly. The music of Steven Universe has always been and will always be amazing. It's such a good soundscape constantly. Like they Rebecca Sugar knows what she's doing with when making these shows, that they know how to make the soundscape sound proper. And then
Yeah,
the rest of the entire team is going, yeah, no, we have a specific sound design for it. And you don't get that with a lot of animated shows where these
correct. I mean,
sounding.
if if you Clods haven't gone yet, you should definitely check out Rebecca Sugar's TikTok because they have been doing
Oh,
a
check
really
out their
interesting
TikTok.
series about just like the different instruments that they have and that they use. And also, I mean, they had an actual album drop at the end of last year, which is a really nice, just like chill album that they wrote and produced and everything. And I love it. But yeah, like music plays a really big part. And even though like this is such a goofy circumstance of Steven's covered in cats, but like that piano music just like pulls at your heartstrings and then seeing Steven with tears and Greg with tears being like, turn on the super wash. I can't, you're my son. It's not safe. I mean,
Yep.
it just like, oh, that music just adds that much to it, and you're just kind of like, oh no.
Yeah, it is incredibly emotional. And I do love that even with literal cats sprouting from his body, Greg is still like, nope, the superwash is the part that's too dangerous.
Yes.
Can't do that.
Yeah. He's like, it's the only way. So he turns on the superwash because he trusts that Steven knows. Like while also worrying about, because he realizes that Steven's a kid, but he also realizes like Steven knows himself better than Greg will.
Exactly.
He turns on the wash, and then Steven goes through the car wash.
Yeah.
Um,
None of the cats like it.
all the
Again,
cats hate it.
obligatory body horror.
Obligatory body horror. You get, he gets scrubbed by the brushes, which will come back, because then when they're in the Keystone Motel episode, uh, he mentions that he doesn't like those brushes that feel bad against your. So we'll get a very nice, which I'll repeat again when we get to that episode because it's pretty far down the road. But you'll get a nice callback later because those brushes have to hurt because they're like
They're for
plastic,
cars.
yeah, plastic bristled, hard bristled brushes.
Yeah.
Steven gets through. He's nice and shiny because he had a nice wax. Talk about getting a waxing.
Yeah.
Um, and then they're like, "Oh, it's done." And then you just hear like a quiet meow
Oh yeah, and they both freak out. It's the original finger is back to a cat.
is back, and so they spray it like you kind of got the
Just
foreshadowing
hose it down.
before, and it's gone. Now, I have a question. If you're an outsider and you came to this car wash and you saw this cat blob thing, boy thing, would you call CPS or ASPCA?
I would leave. That's none of my business.
Not
It's
my
because if
circus, not my monkeys. I gotta
not my
go.
circus, not my monkeys. Because the cat blob at that point is not recognizably Steven. It's just a
Right.
weird blob.
It's a weird
And
blob.
then I don't think I know what animal control could do about this. So
I'm just calling X-Files.
I'm
Call Mulder and Scully.
exactly. I'm leaving. I actually didn't see that. I must be too tired and didn't get enough sleep and I'm seeing things. I'm gonna go home.
That is very fair. I would actually probably have the same response of like, you know what? It's too late for a car wash. I'm going.
Exactly. Also, what am I doing here? Why am I at the car wash?
They're obviously closed. I gotta go.
Exactly. Obviously, they're closed. They're out. Is outside of their hours. It's probably 2 in the morning. Because I'm imagining, because it was afternoon when the gems left, but Steven didn't get to his dad until closing time, and it's dark out. So it must have taken him hours to even get out of the house and into Beach City. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think I
He'd
would
turn
see
around and
that.
be like,
No,
I'm just kidding. I don't need any car wash or anything. I'm just gonna go. I'll see
I'm just
myself
gonna
out.
go.
Thank you.
I'll see myself out. You seem
Forget
busy
about
with
it.
that, this, so I will leave.
Yeah,
Uh,
precisely.
Yeah, presumably also people saw Cat Steven walking through the city
Walking.
because Steven came from the city. At least the backdrop when he first walked into the car wash was the town behind him. So he had to have just walked through the streets like that. And I imagine every single person closed their door and went,
Yeah,
"This
just
is
went,
not my
nope,
problem." No, because it does
absolutely
again.
not.
not recognizably Steven. It's just a weird cat blob that has ripped jeans on it. So
Yeah,
something happened. Don't
something
know if it's
happened.
Steven.
So
That's
Greg saves Steven because he's always there for him.
exactly. He loves his
Uh,
kid.
he loves his kids. So it looks like probably the next day happens.
Exactly, because it's
Gyms
now
are back,
daytime. Hmm.
and Pearl immediately is like, "Oh my God, Steven." You know,
Also,
she was worrying about him
the
the
whole time.
entire time.
Oh,
The
definitely.
entire time, super duper worried. Um, we get, this just shows that you should listen to me and not Amethyst. Amethyst is like, fair enough.
Hmm.
And Garnet's like, this just shows you should have more faith in Steven.
Yes. And then two things I love about this scene is Steven sitting on the pier just kicking his legs while he waits for the gems to get back. Not
Hmm.
even looking for their boat, just having a good time looking at the water going, "Ah, la-di-da." Just
Yeah,
again,
he's just waiting
a
for them to
kid.
come back.
Is
Hmm.
it- yeah, and then also Pearl's blush for I think, is this the first time we've seen her blush and the fact that it's blue?
I think
Because
so.
yeah, Garnet tells her you should have more faith in Steven, and Pearl is blushing in embarrassment.
I think
Uh
this actually might be the first time that we see um the blush.
and that it's a pale blue, which again, I love gems. They don't have bodies or blood. So
How
what's causing
they
that
blush?
blush? Yeah,
That is a great question.
I'm going to assume it's a light thing.
It's probably a light thing, like their light changes, like the filtering of the light changes.
Hmm.
Gets brighter, gets darker.
All of the gems are equipped with RGB lights.
Just hit the remote in Pearl's pocket
Yeah,
and good to go.
you get a strobe light. But no,
Um, then we
Garnet
get
says more faith
yeah, go
in.
ahead.
Oh,
And
sorry. I was gonna say
Steven.
Garnet says more faith in Steven, and Steven immediately cuts to the same cat puns you've been doing.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You're just going, and the gems are not here for it.
They find it simply appalling.
Yep. I do.
I'm not saying I literally have 50 cat puns on my screen right now that I've just been slowly
I know, I've been hearing them, and I've been
filtering in.
just hearing them going, you gotta stop this. I do love his
Have
first.
you been ignoring me just like the gyms do?
I have. I've been hearing them and going, I'm not gonna deal with this. This didn't happen. I'm gonna treat it like a real word. I refuse. No, I do love. Steven gives his pun. Garnet does nothing. Amethyst gives a fake laugh. And Pearl
Pearl
goes
gives him a
like an
nice kitty
actual
laugh.
shock. Exactly. And then it keeps going, and they're like, all right, we're done. One, you get one. And then we're over it immediately.
Love Garnet's like, I'm out. I'm done.
Yeah.
Pats out your tongue. Garnet's like, and that's it. We're out.
I love that. Okay, that's enough. I do love
I love he
Steven.
just keeps going. Like all my advice for you pun fans is that even if it's bad, you just go for it. You just even if it's real bad, just say it. Go for the pun. Always go for the pun.
Yep, he just keeps going, and the gems have walked off. They have decided to move on, which I completely understand. Just going, you know what? Actually, we were just on a boat for probably hours,
Probably
with
Squid's
only
like,
each
you
other.
know what? I'm done with this podcast. I'm out.
Actually, the episode's over, you guys. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Well, pardon me.
Okay,
Um,
actually, I do need to end this episode now.
we get the final one, which is I'm just kidding around, and then we get the classic star swipe.
Yeah, which I do love. Um, but
It's great.
Steven's got his cute little puns, and I love him for it. But also, I fully understand going, all right, that's enough. Especially, again, they were on a boat probably for hours.
For hours.
Yeah.
For hours.
One thing I forgot, and I have it in my notes. The bill is way back in the middle of the episode when Steven's at the Big Donut and he gives them money. His dollar bill has a gemstone on it. It doesn't. It's not the standard
It has
U.S.
a
dollar.
diamond.
Even though it's as the United States of America, it has a diamond and then a fractured snake.
Yeah.
Which, given that we know the history of this world is very different, because I think Russia doesn't exist in Steven Universe.
I think so.
When we see a map of the world, there is a crater where Russia would be, Russia and Siberia. So
I don't
it,
remember that, but oh.
yeah. I believe it's because these episodes aren't allowed to air. Steven Universe isn't allowed to air in
Oh.
Russia, so they just said it doesn't exist. It's not real.
Oh. Okay.
But no, the fact that it's a gem and it's specifically the same type of gem that Pink Diamond has is interesting to me because generally American dollar bills have presidents on them, and then the back it is the eye um, symbol.
The Templar symbols can go
Yeah,
behind the Declaration of Independence. Nick Cage.
exactly. If you can find the secrets, you can go. But no, it's but instead of a president, which to be fair, this is the back side, so maybe there's a president on the front. But on the back, there instead of any kind of Templar symbols or the eye, it is a diamond, and that's just interesting to me.
Interesting. I mean, then we also do get that it does say United States of America on it,
Exactly. So
which
I
I
know
feel
it's
like
a
that's the
U.S.
first
bill.
confirmation that we've had, like, truly had that. It's in the US.
Yeah,
Like, it's not just like a, fictional kind of, like,
country.
place, like a lot of country or whatever, like, it's in the US.
Yeah. And I do love that. Yeah. But the gem I forgot. I just caught it when I was
Yeah, I saw the
pausing,
diamond on it too.
and I love that. Also, yeah, we saw
Nice
earlier
detail.
it is so cool. And I also foreshadowing that hey, well, not foreshadowing but sort of confirming that the gems have been here a while. They've been here
Yes.
for a very long time. Well, since honestly around Earth's early formation.
Right.
That the gems have just been here the whole time,
Mhm.
which horrifying implications for all of human history.
Oh, yeah, no, that's why history is messed up.
Exactly.
That's
But
why it's
no,
different.
those are all my notes on
Yeah,
the
there you
episode.
have it. Episode 6, Cat Fingers. We get 2 body horrors in a row.
Exactly. Two body horrors, one for Steven and one for monsters. And it's all terrifying and scary.
Oh, this one is a little less terrifying and scary.
True. This is one I don't hate looking at it, which is great.
Great. Yeah. So the next episode that we'll go over is one of my favorites, which
Oh.
is Bubble Buddies.
Oh, yeah, Bubble Buddies is a very cute episode.
It's one of my favorites of the first chunk of Steven. Uh, I just think it's really cute, and I love Connie. So we finally get to meet Connie.
Yes, that is right. So we will be hanging out. We will see you soon for the next episode with Bubble Buddies.
Yeah. And where can they
Yes,
find a squid?
they can find us in two locations at Crystal Them's Pod on Twitter, now X, but it's Twitter, and the Crystal Them's Podcast at gmail.com. Please reach out to us there.
Yeah. And our intro and outro music is Faye Mild by Arcane Anthems. They
Yes.
make a lot of really cool songs that you can use in D&D games and podcasts like us as long as you like support them. They have a really cool Patreon. They drop a lot of stuff. So go ahead and check them out over on Patreon. And also they have a Discord channel. They have a lot of cool stuff. They're cool. I like them.
Yeah. You can find a link to their Patreon. You can find a link to their Patreon in this episode description. So if you want to find it, just click on the link that's Arcane Anthems.
Yeah, do it.
Perfect. And with that, remember you are one of us, Clods, and we wouldn't be the Crystal Thems without you. Thank you for listening to this episode.
Thanks so much. You guys have a nice day.